Welcome to the forward-focused FlashCast. Bite-sized episodes designed to help you become a more effective and well-rounded leader, with quick tips that you can implement right away. I'm your host, Jon Reusch, and in today's conversation, we're looking at your core values and what to do if they're not in alignment with your spouse, your coworkers, or maybe the organization that you're working for. As a reminder, this is part 3 of a 3-part series for the foundation to core values. If you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, hit pause now, and I encourage you to go back and watch those because they will maximize what you'll get out of today's episode as we land the plane on the core values conversation. So, you've done the hard work. You've defined a core value as freely chosen, acted upon repeatedly, prized, and publicly shared. You've gone through the exercise and you've whittled down to what your 3 to 5 top core values are, what are non-negotiable for who you are as a person. And now the real work begins. This is the moment where you look at your organization, you look at your relationship, whether it's to your spouse or that boyfriend or girlfriend you've been with, or you look at where you're volunteering your time or maybe your friendship group. And you start to ask yourself, am I living out my core values in these areas of my life? What do you do if you're not in alignment? What do you do if you feel tension? Let me give you an example. My wife and I went through this exercise recently, and one of my top core values was being the best. Being the best. And she looked at me and she said, Jon, that kind of seems a little like egotistical, like you want to be the best, you want to dominate. And I said, well, the way I look at it is I want to be my best self. I want to be the best husband I can be, the best brother, son, the best leader, the best manager, the best podcast host I can possibly be. And so by defining what being the best meant, we actually have it up on our corkboard in our hallway at home. I have my top 3 values and her 3 values. And anytime we feel some tension in our relationship or maybe we're out of alignment, I remind her or she reminds me of, oh, that's right. This is Jon trying to be his best. So he may feel out of alignment because he didn't deliver to the best level that he could be. Maybe he forgot to pick up the avocados from the store. If he would have written a list and planned ahead, he could have done that and he would have been the best. Even in that silly example, that's how seriously I take being the best. So what do you do if your organization's out of alignment? Well, here's the first thing I encourage you to do. Make a list, both positive and negative, of all the things that you feel you get out of your organization. What are the things that attract you to your organization? What are the things that you really value, that you enjoy, that fulfill you? And then on the negative side, what are some things that frustrate you? What are some things that if you own the company tomorrow, you would change? And why would you change that? What you need to ask yourself is, can you be an effective part of the change on that negative side to move them to the positive side? Can you be a change agent in that? If you can, then you know that you're there for the purpose, not just the paycheck. If you can't, it's time for you to look elsewhere. It's time for you to start looking at what you need to do to find an organization that's in greater alignment with who you are. I'll give you an example on how I did that. Being my best as one of my core values, I used to work in a higher education setting. I worked with great people. I worked with a great purpose, but I felt personally that I was not being empowered to achieve the most I could achieve, to continue to grow and expand my horizon, to try new things. I felt at times I was being held back, not because of any one person or thing, just the environment. And so I found an organization and I moved into a company that was forward focused in that arena, that gave opportunity, that paid for training, that focused on training so much that it was a culture of collaboration and growth. And that has fulfilled me beyond any paycheck I could ever achieve. I recommend that you write down your core values. I recommend that you give examples of when you're feeling really good and examples of when you feel out of alignment. And then revisit that with an accountability partner, whether that's your spouse, maybe a manager, or a colleague at work. Identify specific steps you can take to make change and make a positive outcome of some of those negative things, or come to terms in reality with, okay, you don't have control over that, if it's truly something that you have in your core values and you're out of alignment, I need to go find an environment that's going to better support me. It's okay to leave an opportunity for one that's going to better fulfill what you're doing. If you have team members that don't fit your core values, I encourage you to have the conversation, have the dialogue, ask them if it's okay that you share with them your own core values and how you have felt that it's been out of alignment with them in the last month, 6 months, year. But go into that conversation understanding that, one, you can't control how they'll respond. You can only control how you'll deliver it. You can only control your attitude with that. And number two, be okay with the fact that they may not see the outcome as the same as you will. And so you need to be okay and accept the consequence of, you know what? I had the conversation. I said what mattered to my core values. I'm okay with the fact that this is not going to change. I'm going to move on from that. Either I'm going to move on from that relationship and still work in the organization, or I may move on from the organization altogether. Again, this is really deep and powerful stuff. It's not going to be accomplished in 1 hour or even 1 day. It's an ongoing reflective process that as you look at who you are and who you want to be, you can identify the gaps, identify where you're hitting it at full steam, and then you can bridge the two and make sure that you're living your best self. Remember, you can't improve what you don't measure. It starts with introspection and self-reflection and incremental growth to be who you want to be. And that starts with knowing who you are, knowing your core values. If you found value in today's content, please be sure to subscribe so you never miss a lesson to be the leader that you deserve to be. And until next time, lead on.